Guys, it's part 2 of daily number 474 where we learn to be a better gamer. PvP is actually probably my top 3 favorite matchups to watch / cast / talk about because I just think it has so many interesting decision points. It's very easy. I'm just going to pick on Terran here for a moment, where if you do some reasonable building placement to defend at the start, you can defend against Marine attacks, Marauder attacks, Hellion attacks. It's just a big variety of stuff gets solved by one thing. And of course this makes it a little easier to play in the opening. Oh, because we can stay the hell alive. But I love how in PvP there's so many interesting dynamic decisions that happen where, okay, he's doing that, then I have to defend and respond this way. What if he's doing this? I have to defend and respond this way. If you hate that, don't worry, we're going to be looking at a very easy, clean, cool, sexy opening from LiquidHerO that lets us go Phoenix. Oh, what? Phoenixes? Yes! I love Phoenix opening almost as much as I like the fact that all the ants that were here yesterday are dead. They're dead! I don't even know where they are. It's just empty. Where once... Oh, there's the ants. Oh, shit. Alright, they haven't gotten to my dinner. They got to my dinner yesterday. Hold on, I'm going to put this on my subwoofer so they don't take it. Pow. So, before we step onto LiquidHerO's opening, just to review part 1, we got the chance to look at Mana's opening and see a lot of divergence points. Ooh, here is maybe where I'd want to build an extra unit, but I see no 4-gate coming. Here is where I want to send out a scout, and if I see a 4-gate coming, I might need a snap respond and warp in some extra sentries. These sorts of little moments, they didn't happen, so we got to step forward with a very fast blink. With LiquidHerO's opening, I'm going to tell right now the problem with going Phoenix. And then we're going to see LiquidHerO's build answers all these problems. The problem that you'll have is that, for one, you want to get the Phoenixes out kind of quickly. Slow Phoenixes, not so good. So we want to get them out quickly. What does this mean? If we get our Phoenixes out quickly, then our train of thought disappears. What the hell am I talking about? We need to... there we go. If we're getting our Phoenixes out quickly, then we need some way to be able to stay alive against a 4-gate. Interestingly, you can stay alive against a 4-gate. You can still get the Phoenixes up, but a huge issue you run into is a player who attacks you with 1 Zealot and 2 Stalkers long before Warp Gate is done. That's the real struggle that you're going to have as a Protoss player. What LiquidHerO is going to do to respond to this is he is going to be going Zealot Sentry and build no Stalkers at the start. That is how he is going to both stay alive against small early aggression, stay alive against 4-gate aggression, and still get the Phoenixes up in time. What is he sacrificing? He's building no Stalkers. LiquidHerO can put on no pressure in the early game. Whoa! Let's step on. Let's step on. Yes, LiquidHerO. So we're going to be able to go through this a little bit faster. You can check here for the proxy and check around here for the proxy. This is sort of like the phase 1 of early aggression. Right off the bat, we see Hero going for a 13 gateway. Most players are not going 12 gateway anymore. They're building it on 13. And likewise, a lot of players who are going for tech openings do tend to start building this at 14, but I honestly prefer 15 quite a bit. LiquidHerO is going to do, I think, the most modern of them all and double gas around 16. If you want to build it at 16, if you wanted to like double gas right now, I think that's totally fine. There ain't nothing wrong with doing that. But this is a clever way to help us get enough sentries up to defend against early attacks while still getting our Phoenix up. Ain't it cool? Ain't it cool? And then, of course, Pylon on 17. A lot of people are building this Pylon on 16. Ain't no thang. 2 into each gas geyser. Notice how we can still build the Cyber Core right on time. This is the money build, my friends. This is the money build. Double Assimilator on 16, 17 Pylon, 18 Cybernetics Core. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And the one thing I didn't mention, that I actually am going to rewind and mention, is the Chrono Boost. ist das Chrono Boost. We do one right when it's finished. We do a second one on probes. I'm not exactly going to tell you when to Chrono Boost exactly, but I'm just going to note how many you should be doing. And it basically amounts to 3. Wasn't that easy. Right at 25. Whoosh! Great. 3 full Chrono Boosts onto probes. 3 full Chrono Boosts on the probes. This is awesome. Now, I'm telling what, but I want to make sure that we back up and we talk a little bit about why. Why are we doing some of these things? This delayed scout, we don't care. Only if he's going for a proxy do we care. We don't care what he's doing otherwise, because we're going to have zealots and sentries up at the start. We build a zealot around when we can, and we're actually putting 2 guys back into gas quite early, at 20. I generally call it 20.5 is around when we do it. But here's an interesting little twist. We go for Warp Gate, no Chrono there, and then we go for a Sentry. Oh, that's kind of cool. We're actually going to be building our good old Zealot before we end up building... Whoops. Tristan just messaged me on Skype. Don't check your Skype, guys. Actually going Zealot, Sentry, Zealot. Kind of weird. But then we're going to be building our Stargate as early as possible. Now, I'll note something that happens to everyone when they do a weird build. Anytime you pick the weird thing, like let's say you want to do faster Ghosts, or a faster Nuke, or faster Blue Flame Hellions, or in this case a faster Phoenix, your temptation is to get it as fast as you can. This, to many, will feel slow, because they're like, oh crap, maybe I should cut this Zealot and build this Stargate as fast as possible and get it up at like 4:15. I'll tell you right now, having tried a lot of Phoenix openings, this is early. This is a very nice early Phoenix at 4:30. This is great. This is actually not slow at all. Don't miss your probes, don't miss your frickin' pylons, and go Zealot, Sentry, Zealot, and you'll be happy. So I want to note, why do we go Zealot, Sentry, Zealot? If he tries to push us early on, we can actually box him in with our 2 Zealots and our force field. So we're actually very happy about this. And then, in a nice, simple sense, we're just going to go for this second Sentry, just to get the extra energy to continue to block. We have really done almost no Chrono Boost here. I think we actually did 0 or 1. I'm not going to go back and look. Who gives a damn? The other thing that I'm going to note is, wait a minute, we're between 4:45 and 5:15. Oh, okay, so what does that mean? That's the big decision point where we have to go, holy shit, is he 4-gating me or is he not 4-gating me? How does LiquidHerO deal with it? He literally just hit a probe, and around that period of time, he's going to wander on up. Uh-oh. Oh. Well, oh. Wasn't that easy. I'm going to note, why is 5 minutes an important time to do this at? Because, remember the good old 5-minute mark? What was happening around there at the 5-minute mark? Well, from Mana's point of view, Mana was checking up here. He was checking in the mid. He was seeing if there's units in the mid. Units are in the mid around 5 minutes if he's doing a 4-gate. So if we wait a little bit beyond that, and then just... Oops. Oh no, what button did I hit? Oh, I hit the fast forward button. Whoopsie daisies. Screw it. If we wander in here at the 5-minute mark, and we just... First of all, if we see units at his ramp at 5:15, then there's no way he can be 4-gating us, right? Because those units would be at our base. If we get to walk in, and we see a 4-gate, then we can respond intuitively. We're going to make more sentries and zealots and just hold it. What if he's going for something like this, where he's going for some sort of blinkish play? No big deal. We'll just proceed as normal. Getting them phoenixes up. Not overbuilding defense. You can really get away with 2 sentries, 2 zealots placed just like this. The important thing is that a little before 6 minutes, you do have the ability... Jeez, why is my replay messing up, man? I don't know if something changed in the recent patch, but I'm certainly not going to accept any blame for this replay going down into weird places. But the reason we love this early double assimilator is that we can get the Phoenix, and look at that gas, we still have enough to get up a wickedly early Robo before 6 minutes. And look at our second Phoenix. Yeah! Look at us, we are smack dab out of gas with a Stargate, 2 Phoenixes, a Robo, 2 Sentries. Holy crap! Loving it! Love it, love it, love it. Per usual, Hero is going to wait till he has a pair of Phoenixes before he goes in. This allows you to spot what he's doing and kill off 2 probes. In this circumstance, we actually chill on the gateways, and we're going to be going Immortal Phoenix. That's the mix. You can sneak out an Observer if you want. A lot of players don't, just because we can see exactly what's up. Here's where you lift 2. Generally, you can get away with this, but alright, we just made the rounds. Probes are #1 choice. Almost tied for #1 are Sentries, but they come as a just ever so slightly lessened second. And this is a really easy play to make in this spot. I see 3 gates, I see a Twilight, non-stop Immortal, and make another gateway. Now, a lot of players will argue at this point in time. Well, first of all, almost every player who's going Phoenix will say, how the hell do I get up an expansion? I would love to get up an expansion. I personally don't really like making a whole bunch of Stalkers and then going Blink in Hero's position. I really don't like that. Obviously, you want to try to poke around, you want to try to manage his expanding, you want to try to know when he's expanding. If he expands, then we can expand. But essentially going for Immortal, Zealot, Sentry, Expand. Obviously, if we end up losing some Phoenixes, we want to rebuild that some, but right now all Hero's doing is checking expansions, checking expansions, checking expansions, checking expansions. And surprisingly, going Expand, willing to cancel, is a really good play at this point. The fact that Hero expanded there and is willing to cancel it is the correct play. Because a lot of times mana will expand here and will never go on to attack. I should say an aggressive Protoss there will oftentimes never go for an attack. So Hero will be building some Stalkers, but I'm still really not a fan of trying to go for too many Blink Stalkers as Hero. I really like staying a little bit more Zealot heavy. You just have a little bit more resources of wiggle room around. So we're in a weird spot in LiquidHero's shoes. What the hell do we go for? We kind of have this seemingly mishmashed mixture. Right now, our army as LiquidHero is actually quite a bit better than Mana's. And it's just due to the fact that 3 Immortals plus some support is way the hell better than 16 Stalkers. These Zealots really prevent blinks onto us. And we have 2 Sentries that have been charging energy all game long. Aw, yeah. So, this, again, a lot of players just start flooding Stalkers and go for Blink themselves. I like this choice quite a bit more, just instantly going for the Robo Bay. Going for them Colossi. So, suddenly we hit the point that we were at when we were looking from the other point of view. The Nexus, and we finally kill a probe. So Hero is going to try to do as much little harassment damage stuffs as he can, but following this up with a Colossus is just a pretty clean, easy choice. He can't force field us, lock us in. It's a good damage dealer against any unit. He can't really run the risk of blinking on because we have 5 Immortals. He could maybe make some Zealots, but we can easily do another triple warping round of Zealots if we need be. So, in this kind of funky position, this is actually the funky spot that most people never get to, is the spot at 12 minutes where suddenly one player is going to be taking 2 bases and is going to be chilling on 2 bases, and the other player kind of wants to get there. Obviously, getting up an expansion is key in any game, but what's the next kind of step, right? It's kind of like a Zerg who's on 3 bases against Terran with Ling and Fester. What's the next step? Taking 4th base, going for a Hive, getting Ultra Ling and Fester. I mean, like, even if you don't play Zerg, that's kind of how you roll. In PvP in the mid-game, the big thing is, how do I get a huge lead in Colossi, and how do I not die before I get my huge lead in Colossi? So, in other words, getting the double robo up is the next big step for a lot of players. So we see Mana on his 4-gate going straight for the robo facility. Totally reasonable choice, as the Blink Stalkering player just completely halting Blink Stalker production and going aggressively for Colossus. Great move. Hero is slowly getting a little bit of an advantage in the Colossus count, obviously because he started it first, but he's behind on the expansion count. And this is the moment that I think is where a lot of the harder decisions start to step in. Right here for both players. Obviously, LiquidHerO is safe against this mainly Blink Stalker force. He's just okay. But he has this expansion back here that he just does not want to let die. What about back here on the other end of things? Mana has his expansion up. He wants to get out as many Colossus as he can. Does he even have any Colossus up? It looks like... No, he doesn't. He's actually so worried about some sort of crushing counter blow that he's just going to start warping in as many Zealots as he can, and occasionally a couple Stalkers, but the Immortals are just causing a total pain. This is actually where most people in Mana's shoes go for this Zealot charge upgrade. Why would we not be going for a Zealot charge upgrade? Well, honestly, because we saw that our opponent was delayed on his expansion. So our opponent is likely going to have to be battling hard to get that done. We saw our opponent going for no Blink Stalkers. Blink Stalkers are very, very nice to deal with if you're in Mana's shoes by getting a lot of speed Zealots. So going for this expand and trying to catch up on the Colossus count, or even beat our opponent in the Colossus count, is kind of what's left over. It makes a good bit of sense. To have some slow Zealots, a higher Colossus count, and a bunch of Blink Stalkers to deal with this force. Now here's just sort of like being a little cutesy, kind of like poking out, trying to do a little bit of damage, going straight for the range, but Hero does not really want to attack that badly. This is not really of the utmost concern. Picking off that Observer totally is. Trying to maintain this aggressive lead and pick off Zealots at the front. All the while, I want to emphasize that in Mana's position, notice how speed Zealots are not going to help Mana here. This is one of these spots where, gosh, I just go, charge Zealot by default. EG's JYP does that almost every time. But notice how just using the Blink Stalkers is all Mana really needs. At no point are the speed Zealots coming in to play. Or could they even come into play? And by the same token, Hero is adding on some Zealots of his own. Adding in these Zealots frequently is the big key to making sure that you don't die to speed Zealots. Obviously the Colossus are there, but the Zealots are a little more important. And at this point, as things slowly begin to stabilize, also rebuilding the Observer to make sure no blink on the high grounds can happen, as things slowly start to stabilize, Hero, how do I want to say this? Okay, if you are both delayed for quite some time in taking an expansion, then it's okay to be going for slightly later gateways 4 and 5. So for instance here, LiquidHerO only saw this expansion go down recently. As you can note, these mineral fields are hardly mined at all. So okay, Hero knows his opponent is delayed on the expansion. In that circumstance, it's okay not to build these extra gateways, because you're not going to be up against a huge number of units. You're going to be up against a small number of well-upgraded units, like Stalkers with Blink or Zealots with Charge. This force is more than enough. What if, at 8 minutes, Mana had expanded? Well, we would have gotten our expansion up a little earlier, And then it would be very important to build gateways 4 and 5 as we're going Colossus. Because if we don't, we die to someone who goes 5, 6, 7 gates of gateway units and just pushes at us. That is the big and most important, probably mid-game takeaway from this whole daily, is that at this phase in the game, LiquidHerO is identifying, yeah, my opponent's kind of low on money, so I'm actually safe right now. At all points in time, I'm just dying to be at a spot where I can go double Robo Colossus. I'm freaking dying for that, man. So as long as I'm not going to die right now, I should probably be able to go for that. And due to the fact that this expansion is delayed, that's how Mana feels so safe. Or excuse me, that's how Hero feels so safe. Likewise, Mana's realizing, okay, he can't really push with this small force, so I too am going to go double Robo Colossus. This is one of the reasons why I like what Mana's doing here against Phoenix, just hammering him down with Stalkers at the start, taking the expansion, and based upon the fact that things are looking pretty safe, just getting the double Robo up. It's a very clear play for Mana. Again, I don't think it's... I'm not necessarily saying it's the only play. You should clearly do it. If you don't, you're bad. What I'm arguing is that the logic behind Mana's build is just so clear. Oh, well, this stuff is delaying me, but he's not coming to kill me, so I'm just going to be building Colossi 2 at a time. Of course, the one tragedy that Mana finds himself in is that he just doesn't have this 4th geyser up. Hero went for that super early on, is getting the +1, is getting range. And now both players are sort of stabilizing. If you're also going for Colossus, make sure you're building probes. If you're safe enough to build Colossus, you're generally safe enough to build probes. For the most part, especially if Stalkers are delaying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. We're going to go on to part number 3. We're going to see the epic conclusion of the game. Because we see how both players kind of wanted to start. Actually, you know what? Let me phrase it like this. In part number 2, what did we see? We saw both players respond in a reasonable way to one another. Again, not the only responses, but very reasonable from both. And we saw how both of them got up and expand safely. We also saw how both of them were able to begin to head towards that double Robo Colossus production. I just want to stop for a moment and note that in Mana's position, if Hero tried to do some sort of crazy counter all-in, we're already going to have 3 Colossus up with no range, but range soon enough. And we'll be able to hold with a small force. Likewise, if we're in Hero's position, and Mana tried to do some sort of Blink Stalker with Speed Zealot all in, we have plenty of units to be able to defend it. So we're safe with our double Colossus. And eventually, we think, I'm going to win because I started double Colossus production earlier. In part number 3, what we're going to see is, well, neither player has the true Colossus lead. So what now? What now as we step into this mid-game, or this mid-late game situation? Done! Going on to part 3 in a sec.